Timing is everything in comedy, Robin. That's what they say.
Yeah.
Timing is everything. Timing is also everything if you have a cookbook. Because if you have a cookbook, you got to come on just before lunchtime.
Exactly.
So everybody wants to eat whatever it is you're talking about. We have an amazing cookbook we want to tell you about, and I know it's amazing because I was just looking through it. It's called Cuban Flavor, Exploring the Island's Unique Places, People, and Cuisine. Liza Gershman is on the phone, and she's the writer of this book. She's an award-winning food, lifestyle, and travel photographer.
I know.
Good morning, Liza. How are you?
Good morning. Thanks so much for having me.
Am I saying your name correctly?
Yes, you are.
Oh, good. Where are you? Where are you calling from?
I am calling in from San Francisco.
Wow, thank you for getting up early.
You're welcome. You're my sixth interview this morning.
Oh,
so
really?
This isn't that early. The 5:30 one was early.
But see, for us, it's perfect timing because you're going to talk about food, and right now that's what's on our mind because, well, the clock always dictates when we eat, right?
Exactly.
So did you go to Cuba?
So I have been going to Cuba for the last 15 years. My first visit was in 2003 with an educational exchange program.
Oh, nice.
And and I've spent quite a bit of the last 3 years in Cuba. I realized I slept in Cuba more than I slept in San Francisco in the last 3 years.
Wow. So, wow.
Yeah.
Did you own a car in Cuba?
No. It's extraordinarily expensive to own a car in Cuba, but I do have my go-to drivers that I always hire, and that's one of the ways I give back to the Cuban people by hiring a lot of locals.
The only reason I'm asking about the cars is that's what we always hear, is Cuba is filled with cars that look like from the 1950s.
So true, and it's really fun to go in them for short distances, but you don't want to be driving across the country in one, because the shocks are old and there's no air conditioning.
Not good.
Yeah, but what's great about this is that you do have photographs of the cars in your book. You've got photographs of the scenery, of the people, close-ups of craftsmen. I just love the photographs. Those photographs make me want to go to Cuba. I don't want to go, but they make me want to go.
Well, I really hope that everyone listening has an opportunity to go if they want to. We offer legal trips every day. We're always up to date on the most current regulations. And, Cuban people are so wonderful. The music is incredible. The food is great. The scenery is so beautiful. And it's important to remember we shouldn't punish the people just because we don't agree with their government. I always say those.
Agree. Absolutely, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Those who live in glass houses should not throw stones.
Exactly.
Well, we're in Florida, so we have a lot of Cuban people, and I don't think the government ever comes up. I mean, they talk about the government, but I don't really know, other than the fact that they've got issues. Do you know what I quit? I quit cigars like 10 years ago. The only thing I ever smoked was cigars. But I'm looking through the book, and I definitely want. If I ever go to Cuba, Robin, I'm having cigars. Everybody is enjoying a cigar. Look at these ladies with cigars.
That's right.
That's right.
Does everybody smoke a cigar in Cuba?
Did you?
Yeah, did you?
No, I've done it before, but it's definitely not my taste. I'm not a cigarette smoker. I'm not a cigar smoker. So, but I have a whole chapter in my book about cigars.
I know.
About why Cuban cigars are the best in the world and the process of making them. So if people are curious, they can definitely see that in the book.
I never realized that one of their products was a pineapple.
What?
Right. A lot of pineapple, pineapple with rum, that's a huge part of Cuban culture, the daiquiris, the mojitos, the fresh drinks with rum, and they've got the fruit in them. So pineapple is definitely a mainstay of Cuban cuisine.
Some of the pictures look like it's run down, and I don't mean to be condescending in any way, but like if you go to New York and you see a neighborhood that looks like some of these, you would say that must be a bad part of town. But what is the truth about the way of life of the average Cuban?
Well, it hasn't been easy for the last 60 years. People have really been without. You're right, the neighborhoods, a lot of them can look run down or are run down because people simply haven't had the resources. They haven't had access to paint or building materials. Now, though, in the last 2, 3, 4 years, a lot of international money has been flooding into Cuba. And so the amount of construction that's happening is like what you see in Miami, where there's this construction everywhere and buildings are getting renovated, which is incredible. They just did a massive renovation project of the National Ballet's building in Cuba and the main city hall in Havana. It's the Capitol building. It's really beautiful, and it's a colonial place, all of the architecture, and so to see that restored is just stunning.
And to have gone there for the past 15 years, you said, you must really have fallen in love with it and with the people.
Very much so. I have so many dear friends in Cuba now who welcome me as if I'm family, and that's something that I think everybody who goes to Cuba experiences, the warmth of the people, how resourceful they are, how resilient they are, how generous they are. You know, for people that really have very little, they're so generous and they're very proud. You will see people wearing all white. It's part of their initiation year of the Santeria religion. And not everyone participates, but the people who do, they have to wear clean clothes. And it's an island where, as you can see in some of the pictures, the streets aren't that clean, but the clothes,
that's an interesting observation. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. You're an amazing photographer. These are really beautiful photographs.
They are fabulous.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I really, it's important to me to show people, you can hear everything you want to hear and read whatever you hear, but when you see something that really draws you in, that was really important.
This is really unlike any cookbook we've ever talked about on this show. I love this because you're showing what it's like, and so explain the recipes, not in the same way, I guess, that a normal cookbook person would talk about recipes, but help me understand. I'm trying to get you to help me understand why these recipes are Cuban specific. Where does it come from? Is it because they're, and I know it's a big island, so it's almost like it's not an island when it's that big, but it's kind of like Long Island. It doesn't feel like an island.
Right.
So, I mean, do you have a way do you understand where, is it because it's tropical? Is it because it's near the sea? Is it because of the poor, the lack of money? Where do the,
It's a combination of all of that. Cuban cuisine most closely resembles Puerto Rican food, and they have influences from so many different cultures that have come through. It's an island, and it's part of a shipping path, right? And so before the embargo, people of so many different cultures were coming through Cuba. There are even Chinese people in Cuba, and quite a large population of Chinese people. So you might find Chinese fried rice or wontons on a menu, which is totally surprising, or it was the first time I encountered it. And then there's a lot of Italian food on the island and Mediterranean food that's so great. There's French food, but the traditional dishes of Cuba really are the beans, the rice, pork dishes. They have a lot of pork. The Bay of Pigs was named after a region of Cuba. It's not just a situation.
Oh, I see.
And so they have a lot of also Spanish-influenced food in their culture because there's so many Spanish roots. So it really is a Caribbean cuisine, but it doesn't have the hot spices. It has the savoriness. Mm-hmm. A lot of garlic and onions in their dishes, and tomato sauce bases for a lot of things. And then you also get, my favorite are the sweet plantains, and then there are the fried plantains, the tostones, that become chips. A lot of salsas, like pico de gallo almost in Mexican cuisine, but no cilantro, so it's a little bit different. Yeah.
I love the visual contrast in your book because it's like you took a piece of paper and wadded it up and then made it straight again and then put all the recipe stuff on there. And then you've got these dazzling, stark photographs. I love that contrast.
Thank you. It really was a labor of love. The recipes, people ask me where they came from, and I spent years collecting them from friends who own restaurants and people's grandmothers, people's mothers. So it's really, all the recipes come from Cuba, and it was a labor of love to compile them for sure.
Have you made them all?
No, I am a terrible cook, but the recipes are easy. So for anyone listening, I have I've had everything in the book. You know, someone has made it for me, but I am not a great cook. But they are easy recipes, and I have a section that's on how to stock your Cuban cupboard. So anything that's in this book, I explain to you where you can get the ingredients, and most of them you can get at your local grocer, particularly for you guys in Florida. But if there's anything that's, you know, you I'm sure can get everything. For people in other regions, there are a few specialty items they can get online, but you should be able to get everything in this
I bet you we can.
You know? Yeah, and it's all in that section.
Liza, tell me this, and everybody's going to laugh because you probably all know what this means. I don't know what the word dulce means. What does that mean?
I don't either.
Oh, good.
Dessert, sweets. It means sweets.
Oh, it's like
the
desserts?
dessert section.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it's right above the drink section. And as you know, it wouldn't be Cuba without the mojitos and the daiquiris. So that's really a fun section of the book. And then for the listeners, the whole back of the book is all about travel information. I've got Cuba's Best, which is an extensive list of the best restaurants and bars, their addresses, their phone numbers, their websites, and a description of each. And then I have my favorite 8-day itinerary, lots of great tips in there. And then a general information section. I tell you what to pack, how to get money when you're there, where to go buy art, other shopping tips, all of those kinds of things. And then a small spruce up your Spanish section with some just key phrases to make your visit more enjoyable.
Did you bring back cigars for anybody?
Yeah. People always ask me for cigars. So I go down to Cuba. I have clothes there that I leave at a friend's house, and I go down with 2 giant suitcases, and I bring things for everybody I know. So I'm always bringing guitar strings and paintbrushes and books and deodorant and you name it. I brought it to Cuba. Oh yeah. I feel like I'm a mule sometimes.
Is Cuba a great guitar string place?
Well, you just can't get anything there. I always say to people, if you can't buy it camping, you probably can't buy it in Cuba. And so, they just don't have access to anything.
Oh, you bring guitar strings to Cuba?
Right, exactly.
Oh,
it's really hard to get. Yeah, it's hard to get anything.
Do you play guitar?
No, but there's so many musicians.
But your friends do.
My friends do, exactly.
I see,
exactly.
I see. Okay.
So, yeah,
well,
exactly.
So there isn't that much of a retail industry down there for the local people. They have to depend on people like you and other friends to bring in even the basics.
That's correct. It's very difficult to get things there, and what you can find, the quality is not great, and it's really expensive. So, like a luxury shampoo would be Suave, for example, and
really?
It's not what we consider a luxury shampoo.
Right.
So yeah, I'm always bringing down just suitcases of things, and then I leave them all there, and I come home with empty suitcases. But people do ask me to bring back cigars all the time.
What is the
and
rule?
Coffee.
What is the rule? I thought we were not supposed to go down there. What is the rule?
You can go legally. You just have to follow the regulations. So for the last few years, you could go under the support of the Cuban people visa. So that was through President Obama. And that's changed now with our current administration. Now that was the people visa. Now you can go under the support of the Cuban people visa. So the requirements for that are that you're with a tour company that offers an itinerary, and you are not giving money to any business that's owned by the government. So as long as you are supporting the Cuban people, staying locally, eating locally, you're fine. And I take people on tours to Cuba all the time. We offer tours every day.
Oh, I got to go with you.
Yeah, absolutely. Come with me. I would love that. That would be so much fun. And we do support the Cuban people quite a bit. And so the book and the tour information can be found on my website, CubanFlavorBook.com. So you can come with us legally and experience Cuba.
Do you bring steel strings or nylon strings?
I bring a variety. I brought everything from tattoo needles to bras, So
wow.
I brought everything.
So the people that make that make the money, they're the restaurants and like clothing retail stores. I mean, what do the other people do? How do they make their money?
There really aren't many clothing retail stores, so a lot of people get clothes by, like, someone like me brings down clothes and then they'll have kind of a garage sale almost. People make it's very difficult to make money in Cuba. An average Cuban makes $25 a month, and a professional might make $45 a month. But if you work in the tourism sector, let's say you're a taxi driver, you can make $60 or $80 a day, maybe more if you own a restaurant. So really, the last few years have been wonderful for the Cuban people, and now it's getting reversed quite a bit because of their new administration and our new administration. So
are you fluent?
Times are getting tough again.
Are you fluent in Spanish?
I am not fluent. I do speak Spanish, but fluency, that's a whole other story. And so many of my friends in Cuba are fluent in English, and they just insist on speaking it with me. So I feel like I'm never improving my Spanish skills, although it is a goal.
Wow. I wouldn't have thought that. I would have thought that they weren't doing English down there. That's amazing.
You brought up Cuban coffee earlier. Is that one of their main crops, and do they use that a lot in baking and cooking or drinks?
It is one of their main crops, and, every meal in Cuba is followed by coffee. And it's like a little shot. It's almost like an espresso. So it's not a big cup of coffee with cream and milk like we do, but it's a little, and it packs a punch, let me tell you. You are awake when you drink Cuban coffee.
Cuban coffee and a Cuban cigar. Oh my gosh, let's go.
Right. Coffee and a cigar.
There are so many pictures in here that I want to compliment you on. So let me focus on one of them. Oh my gosh, you take things that look probably like they're not attractive in person, and you do something. You do something with the camera and makes them look beautiful. And
you have a good eye.
Photography, yeah.
Thank you.
I never know how to explain why I like certain photography. I just always know what I like. Oh, I can't find the picture now. But there was one picture. There was a car, and there was a woman to the right side of the picture, a real sexy looking woman, just
with the glasses.
No, I saw that one too. I saw that one too. No, but yeah, I don't know. They were all really nice looking photographs.
I like the picture of the dog because he's got such an expression on his face or
with
her
the wristwatch.
I don't know.
The dog with the wristwatch?
Yeah, no, he's just looking out. He's just just from his neck up, and he's just looking out.
There is a dog with a wristwatch, though. You're right. There's the little wiener dog with the writch. That doggy is a hoot. There are so many great.
Oh man, I just found your picture. Look at you! Wow. Look at you! Wow. Let me take a phone call. You want to take a phone call?
Sure.
Good morning. Thank you for calling. You're on the air.
Yes, thank you. For the children of Cuba, are there like public schools or government-run schools or parochial schools?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Great question. So education, medicine, and housing are free in Cuba, and people get a food stipend. So the education in Cuba is really top-notch. They have a 99% literacy rate. So everybody in Cuba is educated. Everyone reads. People have a free education, so many people have master's degrees. Many people have higher degrees in applied and fine arts or music. Everyone in Cuba studies an art for a minimum of 2 years, and that includes music. So you pick what you're interested in or what you're good at, and you get really top-notch artistic training. So if you go and you hear, let's say, a cover band, for example, it's not just some accountant that decided he wanted to be a rock star, so it's what he's doing in his garage with his buddies. It's somebody, and no offense to accountants, I love accountants, but it's a band of people who've been classically trained, and so all the music you hear in Cuba is really professional.
Fascinating.
And and the schools are incredible. They don't always have the most up-to-date supplies. They definitely need pens and pencils and books and and things like that, and I'm always bringing those down. School children are always in need, but they definitely get a top-notch education. And economists in Cuba, I have a lot of friends who have master's degrees in economics in Cuba, and they know so much about our economic system and structure. It's really surprising.
Liza Gershman is our guest. She has this amazing book. This is not just a cookbook. That's how we started to tell you about it.
That's
but
right.
It's more than that. It is an entire lesson in what life is like in Cuba, from the cigars to the food to the cars to the people to the streets. And I wanted to ask you something about the phones. Oh yeah, do they have cell phones, or is everybody still using a rotary phone? I'm just basing it on one photograph.
Yeah, there are a lot of, everyone has a rotary phone at their house. Many people have cell phones, but cell phones are really expensive. So remember, if you're making $25 a month and you get an internet card, that's about, you have to go to a park or a hotel lobby and really steer them. So an internet card is about $2 to $3 per hour. And so if your whole month's salary is, so it is, and most American cell phone providers don't work well down there, but you can make phone calls from time to time, but you're probably not getting all of your texts and things like that. And so no, but what is so amazing is people still have conversations there, and they still meet strangers and become friends. And if you're sitting on a bench next to somebody, they're not on their cell phone, they're talking.
Yeah, maybe
wonderful.
There's something to be said about that, right?
Gosh.
Yeah, if you're at a dinner table, everyone is talking. So it's really interesting. And if you need information, it is, for good and bad, a gossip society, right? So if you want to know something, you ask your neighbor. Everybody knows everything, and there are no secrets. Havana is not that big of a place, and you'll run into people again and again, and neighbors will tell each other everything. And so there are no secrets, and you definitely depend on your neighbor for information. And the cell phone situation, again, some people have cell phones, but they're expensive, and so there's a rotary phone in every house.
Well, because of you, I want to go. So this is
good.
Really,
I would love
me too.
Wow.
Me too.
I would like to
Absolutely.
go because
I'll be honest with you. I never even considered going to Cuba.
No.
But this book really has made me want to go. You have 33 reviews on Amazon. Every single one of them is 5 stars, just so in case people don't go to
So
Amazon.
nice.
I have a copy. I would like a Cuban listener or somebody married to a Cuban to call me, and you can have the one book that was sent to me. Can I limit my winners?
Sure,
Okay.
it's outstanding.
All right,
Both
so
the photographs, your personality shines through in your writing as well. By the way,
You know why I want a Cuban? Because I want the person living here now to be able to show the rest of their family what Cuba is like. I think that'd be cool, So,
I love that.
Because
that would be
I think your
wonderful.
book will give them a tool so they can do that. So if I have somebody listening who's married to a Cuban or is a Cuban, and you want to show the rest of your family, this is what it's like right here. It's it's beautiful, it's delicious, and I love cigars. I just had to quit them. It's one of those vices you say, why can't, in heaven, God, can you have, so cigars won't give you cancer? Is it possible?
Well, on my website, I have a video all about cigars in Cuba, so you'll have to check that out when you're signing up for a trip with me and buying your other book.
Nice.
And everything is on that. What is the website? Tell us the website.
Yep, it's CubanFlavorBook.com. So you can buy a book, watch some videos, get some recipes, download a sample chapter, and sign up to come on a trip with us. CubanFlavorBook.com.
And this is just my opinion. The book is available as Kindle and as a hardcover book.
Yes,
No offense to Kindle. Kindle's great, but this is the kind of book you want to be having. You want to hold the book in your hand.
exactly.
The photographs are just so good.
Yeah,
You're just
you
a
want
great
to have
photographer. Thank you for being on the show with us. If you're going to Cuba, that means you're flying right overhead. So wave next time.
I will. Thank you guys so much for having me. It's been really fun.
Well, if
It's a total honor to be on your show.
No, the honor is ours. If we hook up with you down in Cuba, we've got the shorter distance. So
Yeah,
Well-
90 miles from Key West. So
yeah, we're not that far. We can practically swim the thing. That was fun. Oh my gosh, that was a good interview. Thank you so much for being on the show, Liza.
Thank you guys so much. Have
All
a
right.
great day.
We'll be right
Bye.
back.
all know that sound means there's going to be some need for collision repair work, and soon. What you may not know is that it's your choice where to have that collision work done, not the other guy's insurance company. Because your vehicle is much more than just transportation. It's like a family member. So don't bring it to just any chain collision center. Bring it to Lyle's Collision Service. When it comes to getting your vehicle back to 100%, you can count on Lyle's Collision Service. They're not some fly-by-night chain company. They're a family-owned and run collision center with over 33 years of experience. Working with collision repairs and vehicle restoration, Lyle's Collision only uses quality parts and doesn't take shortcuts like some other companies. They take pride in getting the job done right and in a timely manner. They specialize in insurance claims, and they strive to get your vehicle back to you as soon as possible. So the next time you hear this, remember, it's your choice. And the choice is clear. Lyle's Collision Service.
Here are today's headlines from the source, WOCA. A Veterans Care Bill is in the books after being signed by President Trump.
To those who serve our nation, who risk life and limb for country, we must never be denied care, access, or treatment that they need.